But to fill you on the topic we were on, should streamers be responsible and liable for their communities? And the context that was asked in was recently on Livestream Fail, Moon made a comment that streamers should be held responsible. They should be held accountable for whatever their viewers go into other streams and say. And the reference to that is Greek. He had a stream. So there was a girl, the girl did something, and the viewers went in there, and she ended up crying, and all this drama ensued after that.
Wait, she cried?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I think it's rude to send like your minions to harass someone, but ban them. Like
he did not. Right. He did not send the minions.
Okay, so they did it on their own, but still, like, if you're a girl on Twitch, you should be kind of used to people coming in and being jackasses. So just
Yeah. So before you get any further here, the problem here is I need more context here. Like, what specifically was said to the girl, and how did she react? Like, you can't just tell me like they invaded, she cried. What did they say? Yeah. What did she do upon what they said? And then how did it escalate to her crying afterward? If it happened.
That's fair. That's fair.
The context there is really important to understand. First off, do we know that?
But I still, either way, I don't think Greeks should be held accountable for that.
No, of course not. No, not at all.
Nope.
Yeah, if he didn't raid or anything, like, because this is also why, if I recall correctly, Forsen doesn't even host or raid anyone. He just goes offline because he tries to, not really engage his, I guess, chat banter elsewhere, right?
I do that now. I've started doing that now last couple of months.
Yeah, you don't host a raid either anymore?
No, I used to a little bit, and it got really bad. Like, people would go on Discord and like blow them up, spam channels, make it crash.
Yeah, it's scary because like you could host someone or have auto host on, and then you go AFK and come back like 13 hours later, and you got fucking like a dumpster fire going on your own channel. You're not even aware of.
I used to love after stream like going to like a smaller like newer streamer and hosting. The problem is they have no moderation set up, and there's always those 20 people. It's only 20 people. It's not like 1,000. It's 20 people that just want to spam try hard and the N-word and get it in there. And it's just like, it ruins the entire fucking vibe. And it's terrible. So yeah, I stay away from all that. I just host people I know that can either moderate and ban people or kind of understand the memes. Oh, not saying that the N-word is memes. That's not. I'm just meaning like the actual memes.
When they spam and stuff.
Yeah. Clarify that. Yeah.
I get it. To while up it's actually really dumb. I want to state the example of a thing they do that like it derails. It's so powerful. It's kind of what I hate about it. All you got to say is, I'm thinking it. And you immediately derail the entire chat into that direction. It's so fucking powerful. Yeah. It's so easy.
To clarify on the context of some of the logs, it was basically a gist of this. That this was what was being spammed. That she's a waste of spot on the server because she had a bad role-playing session with Greek. So they're saying she shouldn't be on the server. She's a waste of a spot. Things like that.
Yeah. I don't think it matters when we were spamming like at all.
I agree.
Like, I think it doesn't matter at all because then you would have like a gray line of like, oh, like are they bantering? Is it like bad? Like I don't know. Like it opens up the doors to many things. You can't be accountable for everything. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you should be like legally accountable, but I do think streamers should try and at least, keep their audiences as controlled as they can.
I mean,
but obviously there's nothing you can do about it.
Have a heart to heart.
When you're in Greek size, I really don't think there's much you can do to control people. Yeah. Like you can say, don't harass women.
And
then there's going to be people who will do it.
Some of them will just because, some of them will just because they said it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Streisand effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
first, did anything happen because of it? So the girl cried. She cried on screen. All that. Did anything actually happen? Was there any enforcement done, or this is just a discussion because of the crime that happened that made it like emotionally traumatizing?
It's a discussion because Moon talked about it and said that the streamers should be held accountable, and it is the streamer's responsibility. That's our only discussion. I'm not sure if he got white. Did he get whitelisted for that reason? Or blacklisted? Sorry, I'm not sure what he got blacklisted for, but yeah.
Like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean blacklisted?
Oh, like lost priority?
Yeah, he lost priority because of it. Yeah, he lost priority.
I think he was already on the low priority tier, though.
Yeah. We both are.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can y'all clarify here? Because when you say priority, the implication here would be that priority to getting a front page slot. Because I don't see what other priority would there be.
Yeah, what?
No, there's 8. I think there's 8 tiers of priority, right? if you're the lowest, if you get in, there's like 100 people, you're 101.
Priority to log into the game.
Oh,
that as well. Sorry, as you were just to clarify. Yeah, there's priorities in how to get into the game. There's like a line, and like say for example, xQc is like, I feel like getting on right now. He'd get like probably top 3, and he would basically get to cut the line.
I'm low priority right now.
Oh yeah, you are now.
I'm like 35.
Yeah, for an example. Yeah, so it's like a giant line. So like Greek, he got the opportunity to be up in high tier at one point to get to log into the game first, because you can only have at the time 32 people a server. Now you can have 64 people a server. So obviously there was a line because everyone wants to play, and he got set to like low priority tier. So like he has to wait in line with everybody else, basically. That's what that means.
Yes. Then now what they did is that they split the servers in 2. Now there's 32 slots on 2 different servers. But you know how it is. Like people RP to RP, right? They play RP to make storylines, have fun, interact, whatever. But then the queue on server 1 is crazy, ridiculous. Like whenever I get on, it's like 30. I'm 35th out of like 120. But server 2, I'm like 3rd out of like 10, and I'm like, dude, why? And you realize that all the big streamers on the other one, right? And everybody wants to interact and metagame and snipe the big streamers to get viewers from. And that's just like, I think like that's kind of like sad on its own, but
But you have you need to have a thicker skin though if you're streaming, and I know that in the streaming world for women, like sometimes it can be super hard, but you have to have a thicker skin and not like brush that off and not care about it.
Yeah.
And you need your mods to do their job also, is to just like fucking get rid of all the fucking losers that come and troll.
I think fuck, I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry, dude. Don't say hey asshole, okay?
Hey asshole.
What was that word you taught me?
Which one? Which one?
That's that
food.
You'll have to message type it so I can read.
I memorized. xQc, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody said it was her first stream or something like that. But even then, I feel like even without going to like the victim blaming type of thing, I think it's crazy clash. Like first time streamer against GGX who has like CX mixed in it. It's just like beginner, like all the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
That crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the one issue that I can't seem to, I mean, I know this is going to fit right into the typical Squad W bullshit, but I don't think it does. Like, the one issue that I keep hearing, I heard it from 2 people so far right now, it's that girls deal with a lot of shit, and it's like different shit, but like, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think everyone...
I do.
You do?
Everybody does.
Yeah,
it's the internet. Like, I mean, have you seen this shit? I mean, every day it's a goddamn shit show.
Hard disagree right here.
Yeah,
really?
Girls way
I
more.
mean, you get shit, but
girls
compared to girls on Twitch,
We get
even reveal
but we
their-
also get good size. It's like it's not
Of course.
harder being a girl on Twitch. It's just different. You have to deal
Exactly.
with
Very
the
different.
that of
It's-
trolls, but you
Very
get perks
different.
that guys don't get. So it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
you
I
just gotta
wouldn't-
have a tough.
I wouldn't
skin.
say it's more shit. I would just say it's different shit. I mean, like...
so it's,
Yes.
so it's like real life. That's what you're saying.
Bigger size.
Yeah, it's not like people are like, oh, it must be so hard for you being a girl on Twitch. I'm like, not really. It's just
What
different.
is size? Bigger size. What is that? A size?
Size doesn't matter, by the way.
Hmm?
So
No.
I guess
just-
one.
No,
I'm just. It's a
no. What I mean, but you get a bigger size. In terms of what? You get a bigger size. Stream or?
Wait, bigger size.
What?
Did I say that?
That's what I heard. What the fuck? Am I crazy?
Oh, I think you misheard.
Yeah, you
I
misheard.
said it's different. than
So
guys.
if I may here, like
French Canadian.
So you say that girls go through different shit. Well, to me that's kind of a really ambiguous qualification to like hunt down on. And I don't mean to like to dictate out to 3 different women here about how women have it harder, but like I feel like if you're a female broadcaster, your appearance plays a much larger role in like the vitality
That's
of your own
true.
stream. Whereas like, if you're a top 1% male streamer, you're not necessarily asked to be handsome, good looking, have good teeth, have a moderately revealing clothing. That way you have like a more aesthetic appeal to the thumbnails and everything else. But for a female, if you're in the top 1%, like I feel like you're put under a much harder microscope on the appearance factor.
I mean,
and like the one day that you don't do makeup or your hair's lazy or you like just I don't give a fuck, I don't want to do no face cam.
I actually no. See, that's the thing. Our appearance is very important, but you'd be surprised how guys don't care if we wear makeup or not. They're just so pleased that we're there.
Scarlett,
they don't care.
I'm really liking you a lot. Listen, I'm going to answer this, and I know I have no I know I have no credibility in this field because everyone just squad W incels immediately. But realistically, like, listen, like, I think what you're saying is correct, Trihex. But if and only if you build your stream upon that, I think there's a lot of streamers that are top. I mean, actually,
yes, I was about to say.
I think every top 1% streamer that is there, I don't think they built it on looks necessarily. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but they aren't.
You can't build it just on looks.
There is a lot of attractive. There's, I mean, objectively speak. Okay, I love. There's a lot of like good-looking females that are better looking than the top 1%, and they don't share the same success. So I don't think it's the case where you have to have nice teeth, have to be pretty, have to have makeup on. I think if you build your stream around that and upon that early on, then sure, it'll have that same thing. Just like for me, you know, I have to have a certain thing to. So I don't know if that's entirely true. I think if you
I still don't agree with that either, though. Women get straw man so hard on these kinds of things here, like as if because if you're not good at the game, oh, you're being carried by X. If you have any association with a guy, oh, it's because you're dating or talking and flirting this guy here. Like it's just the whole notion of like being carried to the top with Smurf accounts or whatever the term may be. Like I feel that's
I hard disagree though. I actually disagree. Yeah, of course. I feel like there's a lot of female streamers that have like good gameplay and they do it like play properly. And whatever the fuck chat says doesn't fucking matter when you put out the results and you.
Well, it's not about that they don't matter. I'm saying that they get accused of it by the worst of chat, which is something that a guy would not get. If a guy organically climbed in rank on a popular game, whether it be League or Overwatch, he won't get accused of by association of other genders in the group.
You are looking at the living proof that proves you wrong, baby. Hey, my man. Hey, right here, dude. Hey, right here, dude. I win a game, carried. I win a game, 7 wins, I got carried, okay? Yeah. I am dog shit at every game, no matter even if I'm decent, okay, dude? So, hey, I don't know about that, dude.
In the Greek god thing, like, do you think people would have been as hard if it was a guy streaming, or they went hard because it was a girl?
I think both. I think they would have done it regardless, just because
it would have been as hard.
It depends on how the person plays it out. Also,
yeah.
Exactly.
Like if you react to chat, they're gonna go in on you a lot harder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I could see a dude taking it way better than a female. That kind of sounds weird.
Wait, that was her first time streaming, right?
Yeah, so said that.
Yeah, so it's like sharks smelling blood in the water. You know.
Well, that's why you gotta have tough skin.
And that's not me undermining what they did, but that's just the reality of that kind of chat and atmosphere and environment. You know,
it's just.
Can I add a point from earlier? Fuck, yeah. I don't want to forget it. I did reheard it. I think she said you did get a bigger size or whatever, and that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's also a double-edged sword. I feel like just because Twitch is overall like a male-dominant platform, I feel like it's harder for girls to like ascend it past like the crazy viewers
I know what
as often, right?
So snowball.
We like dominate the mid range because it's a little more accessible. Exactly. It's true.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but it's honestly, I don't know. I've never like thought in my head, oh, I wish I was like a guy who was being taken seriously for my gaming so I could have 20 million followers. This is the cards I was dealt. I'm going to play my cards like this and I'm going to do my best and do it honestly. And that's like all you can do and not complain about it.
Also to emphasize how I was saying, like, I don't think it's more shit. I think it's just different shit. I mean, I think a lot of guys get, I mean, almost every guy, if you weren't situated back when Twitch first came out during Justin TV, or if you didn't have something to build off of like a professional career, almost every guy right now that is going to make it will be called and spammed in chat leech, poacher. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like nonstop.
I'm getting so tired of that.
Yeah. So I think it's not about more shit. I think it's just different shit in different categories.
I think people want to harass people. They pick on girls' appearance because it's the most obvious thing. For guys, they're going to also attack them. They just have to be more creative because it might not be so physically obvious at first, but people just want to be mean. It's the internet, and all you got to do is ban them, ignore them, or if you're that kind of channel, write off them, roast them back. That's not my style, but I know a lot of people do that.
Yep.
I mean, an interesting case because like I've seen girls from my industry trying to stream, and some of them do okay, and they don't last very long on the streaming. But I see the way people are towards me streaming, that like in a weird way, like the hero guy, oh, he's the man, he all those girls. The other way around, when girls stream, a lot of the time the guys go to insult them, that tell them the same guys are gonna tell me I'm their hero are gonna go on those girls stream and insult them, tell them they have no place on Twitch. And I've seen it. I've seen it.
That's actually a very true hypocrisy. That's actually I can
they have their like their core of fans are gonna come and support them, but a lot of the people are gonna be like, let the guys that tell me that I'm a god or a hero or whatever they choose to say are gonna go insult those girls, and that's where I feel like
yes,
there is a difference.
You're actually right. Yeah, you're actually right there. I can get behind that 100. I can get behind you 100%. In more than one way.
So if I can just follow up here, if we're moving on topics, my final thing I wanted to get to though is my contrarian stance on this would actually be that I actually kind of agree with Moon here on this whole thing here. You should be held accountable for what your community says and does, because if the situation happened as you described here, where a girl who was probably new to RPing and her first time streaming then gets like, bullied and attacked by, let's just call it like 10% of like a 10K plus chat from Greek afterward without any of his control to like tone it down or anything like that, and they're just like feeding into her fear, anxiety, and just like, I don't know, timidness possibly at that point, that can be pretty traumatizing. If you're new to streaming and you get to like
I mean, if you think that's the worst,
this comes down to like, did Greek try to control it?
Yes, he did.
Do we know if he tried to control it, or are we just assuming Greek didn't control it?
No, he did. He said,
no. What the fuck are we talking about? You can't control it. What the fuck?
You can't control it.
I
didn't finish the point. I didn't even get into what the punishment would be. Because you're assuming I'm saying Greek gets banned. Slow down now.
Okay.
What I'm getting at here is like someone gives Greek a warning, or X person gets a warning to like, hey, here's a notification that you need to like rein it in a little bit here so it doesn't happen again. I'm not saying it's like.
But how can he control it? That's the thing. Like, they're going to a girl's chat after he finishes role playing with them, saying she's bad. Like, how is that his fault? Go, xQc.
xQc, go ahead.
Okay, I'm about to blow up. Okay, listen. It's something people need to understand. It. RP is a whole different ball game. It's entirely different, and there's a huge amount of rotating viewership. People that are just like bounce off streamers, right? And if you're at the top during that day, right? People are viewing your stream, right? And they're bouncing on and off of a bunch of streams. These are your community. These aren't people that you've had for a while. These aren't people that are like on your Reddit, on whatever. These are just temporary viewers, and they're crazy vocal sometimes. And this crazy huge layer on RP that's like maybe sometimes like 10K. They'll be like, if you're not going to interact with somebody, sometimes like 6K will go on there and they'll spam trash. You can say, oh, it's GGX, lol, guys. Like, that's crazy. That's nuts though.
She's not blaming him, right? She's not blaming Great God, right?
Oh yeah, we're going to blame. That's what we're trying to do right here.
No,
that's
but
I think that's Trihex.
No. I want to know: is she the girl's Moon? Right? That's her name.
No, it's the guy who said that streamers should be in charge of controlling their chats and other other people's streams.
But the girl that got attacked. The girl that got attacked.
We don't know her name.
She didn't go after Greek God saying like it's his fault, right? Or did she?
I don't think she said anything.
You know what I mean?
She's probably quit streaming.
I mean, why would she blame him when, and if she doesn't, why would anyone blame him and punish him for?
Yeah.
See what I mean?
I mean, sometimes.
So, if you want me to continue to elaborate on this here,
please.
The reason why, because you need someone to be held accountable here. Like you're advocating for that Greek be not held accountable in any way because he didn't particularly raid or host or mention her to be targeted by his community in any way. So whenever the shit show goes down, like what happens to make sure it doesn't happen again? Like do does Twitch cops just like go in there and go into the logs and then just like bop every single person? They don't have the staff or manpower to manually go through all those logs and recount everything to like try to hit 40, the bottom 10% of the community at one time. That's why I'm saying a warning of official acknowledgement from some form from the moderation team to like rein in a little bit here. Like, hey, some of the people that were from your chat, because you got to draw the accountability somewhere here, because or else it's going to be a cesspool of like negativity going on forever with no one ever getting.
I feel like the best way is to let it die, because if he gets that, then he has to tell his viewers, you guys did this and it's not cool, and it's just adding, oil on the fire. It's just gonna make them go even more after this.
Trihex. The reason why I'm gonna give you the hardest agreement, I can't agree in 100%. Let's say Lyric streams a game that's like right now he streams a game, right? How many viewers are gonna get? Like 30, 35, right? When he streams RP, the numbers are crazy, right? And a bunch of his viewers will never watch him play anything else. They don't give a fuck what he does. They just watch RP, right? And there's a crazy amount of people like that. And they watch a bunch of them. Like you see the viewership on RP is crazy. Like people watch a lot of them.
Those aren't their dedicated community.
Exactly. Those are just randos. They'll never come back. And then if he interacts with somebody, right? And that person has like 500 viewers and 10K show up from Lyric stream and they crush him, right? Are you gonna say, oh, it's Lyrics? Wow, you can't do that. I think that's crazy. Like how can you say it's his community or
I'm
his
understanding all the. I understand trying to draw a picture of all these metrics here, but the reason why I feel like you're undermining what the described severity was here. The girl cried on stream.
Oh my god!
That to me is that not what you
get
saw?
used to it.
Is that not what happened here?
Well, Trihex, you just made me cry, dude. You just made me cry. Holy shit!
That's gonna make her cry. She needs to stay off the internet because it's just gonna get way.
You should have enjoyed the free publicity. I'd be like, hi guys, yeah, I suck. Okay, thanks for all the follows.
Follower only mode, by the way.
I feel okay. So if I can clarify on that one as well here, I feel like people are able to better cope with that level of like attention when it scales, like because you don't like blow up overnight. Like if you went from like a 10 viewer pleb to a 10K or even like a 3K post xQc host, and you get like shitted on day one, that's pretty traumatizing. That's like going out and doing a public speaking when you're not used to being in the public eye at all.
I'm not saying it's right for people to go in and harass, but it's good for a streamer to get exposed to that as soon as possible, because then they learn what's coming and what they're about to do.
When it scales appropriately.
But you can't control that. There's no way to control that. I don't think that streamers should be sending their viewers to harass, but if they don't ever say, go harass this jerk.
Which is why I'm saying you gotta do something to to minimize that problem by letting
Greek tried.
How do you though? What is a warning gonna do? It's not gonna stop the viewers from doing it the next time.
So because X won't necessarily automatically definitively solve something, we should at least try to solve the problem of toxicity on this chat.
No, you should try to solve it.
Giving Greek a warning isn't going to do anything for his viewers. If Greek said to his chat, hey, let's stop harassing this girl, what else is he going to do if they keep harassing her?
It'll get worse.
Like, it's supposed to end stream.
The warning, that's probably going to incite
viewers.
it even more.
They're gonna be like, some people don't even know that's happening. They'll be like, "Oh wait, we're harassing
someone."
And then they'll go
so you're attacking the method. So you're saying that the warning would not be effective. Well, if you won't know until you try the warning, and if the warning wouldn't actually work, then you can go back to the drawing board and figure out the next thing here. Because right now it sounds like
what is the warning gonna do?
It sounds like we're just endorsing toxicity chat wide. Like, okay, Twitch chat is a giant cesspool of negativity, garbage, and just bullshit. And we're never going to try to fix it.
If you give a warning, though, you're suggesting that there is a severe punishment after. So you have to then follow through with that. So what do? Ban the streamer? Like, what is...
I don't know. We're not the moderation team. I'm just agreeing in principle that we should stop the negativity.
But if people know that a warning is this furthest it's going to go, then it's not going to mean anything. It's just a warning, but you know that nothing happens after it. Why would the audience even care?
So, okay. I understand that you don't agree with the method, but can we at least agree that it's a bad thing, and we should try to make Twitch in its entirety less negative.
I didn't know the whole story, though.
That's pretty ambiguous, too. I agree. I don't like toxicity, but that is an ambiguous thing. I I mean,
well, I'm only going ambiguous now because we can't agree on any method at all past.
Well, I think if you have footage of the streamer saying, hey, someone should go, and they actually are inciting, then they should be punished. But if they don't have that, then maybe I don't know what else you can do.
So someone sent me the story of what happened and what was said in the chat. That there was people telling her to kill herself, and that's next level.
I have two things to say to Trihex. Okay, first
that's
thing is
next level to me.
First thing, I feel like if the streamer doesn't do anything, even implies to the people to do something, or even does anything to reward them or whatever, that behavior, like you did anything that they try to reel back will have the exact opposite effect. And I feel like, and second, you can't really say, oh, like she cried, like that's a display of anything, because people are more sensitive, some people are whatever, but like. Some people can be very, very, very sensitive. Like some people doing it like, "Hey, you're ugly." Like,
so wait,
like it's you have to be kind of careful here.
What you're saying right now? So you're telling me that if Greek was on like the final line, if that ever happens again, you're permanently banned. That he could not actually influence change to have that.
Not even a little bit.
Really?
Not even a tiny
You're
bit.
telling.
I don't even think his own community likes him. You know, like
yeah, agreed.
I'm sorry. I find this incredibly hard to believe. If he was on his last lifeline, that he would not 180 really hard. Not saying he has to over it's inorganic to his content here, but like when you guys are saying that the warning is useless, that any kind of measure whatsoever to like tone it down and bring accountability to someone somewhere at some point, because there's a correlation between like where they came from and what they're doing. I don't know. I'm just like I feel like I'm in a different town right now.
Real quick, I'm gonna put a one quick little
your community theme now.
Real quick, I want to put this in there. Okay, here's what I think people aren't understanding. Okay, stream dynamic changes once you pass like a certain viewership. Okay, if you sit there every day streaming to a 1,200 viewer community, or whoever the case may be, or a 2,000 viewer community, or a 500 viewer community. Everyone in there is well acquainted. They're there for the stream. They're there for you. You kind of know everybody. But when you have 20, 25,000 people watching, you have to understand, in this 20, 25,000 people, there is about 80 to 100,000 uniques coming in and out of that, okay? Of those 20,000 maintained, you can't assume all 20,000 are there for Greek, are there for his community, are there for his well-being. There is always going to be an arbitrary percentage out there, maybe 20% that do not like him, that are sitting there waiting for him to fuck up, that if Greek says, guys, I'm on my last straw, do not do this, they will go do it. It is just like the attempt to try and eliminate the N-word usage. There is always going to be a percentage that's going to try and slip this in, slip that in, no matter. When I came back from my 30 day, there were people trying their hardest to get me banned because they knew I was on the fucking ice to a perma ban. So I don't think you can control that small percentage that isn't there for you or your community.
You can.
And that's the thing.
I have another good point too. I think if you make it punishable, if your audience is harassing other people, even though you don't condone it, those streamers are going to find it less attractive to host smaller streamers because they're afraid that they could get in trouble. So they're not going to help support smaller streamers. And then the smaller streamers, they lose the motivation to help these smaller streamers because they don't know that streamer very well. They don't know if their audience is going to make it hard for them, and it just kind of cuts out smaller streamers that would have loved that leg up, but they're no longer getting the support from the bigger streamers because the bigger streamers are too scared.
One other thing we can forget.
Can I counter that point real quick, or am I? Or do you want to go in?
I would like you to, if you have something directly.
Go ahead, because my point is, what I want to talk is different. So go ahead.
So okay, the thing here about communities that are at this size, that are this toxic, that lead to stimulating these tiers of reactions to a girl crying on stream from what happened. I feel like not every top 1% streamer is that toxic. So I feel like that argument about like it's a very, very niche thing to say. There's also other reasons why big streamers wouldn't even host regardless, because the smaller streamer probably doesn't have the moderation team to deal with proportionally the amount of traffic coming to them at that time. So I would imagine that, would you bring him here is technically true to a certain extent, but it's so niche and significant here because I feel like, to be totally blunt here, is Moon's chat, who's probably as big as I would debate, or almost as big as Greek's, is his chat toxic? No.
The thing is, I don't know these streamers very well, so I can't give anecdotal.
Did Trihex? What the thing is, like a lot.
They're totally different content creators, and they have totally different community.
No, I also think that the severity of the punishment
almost like the content you make influences what kind of chat you have.
Are you saying that's where the holding accountability is coming for? Is if you create a toxic community, you should be held accountable for the toxic community you've created?
Because it's going to have consequences at some point, eventually, possibly, because you can't control them anymore.
Now, if you're
I'm saying you have to
that's limiting content on Twitch because you feel like it might hurt someone's feelings.
Well, there are things we can't forget. Okay, there is the life on stream, and we don't know what the fuck's happening in that girl's life. For example, outside of the stream, maybe she had a terrible day and went on stream thinking, "Hey, I need this in my life right now. I need to feel good. I need to do something that's going to make me forget what's going on in my life." Maybe that day she was more sensitive, and having people telling her to go kill herself is not what she needed. We can't forget, not everyone has a perfect life, and you can be sometimes more sensitive.
The severity of the punishment should be tied to the sin that was committed, not the reaction of the victim.
Oh yeah, I don't personally. I don't think Greek.
Take it on what actually happened, what was said, judge it from that, and not just because she cried. What someone cries over is going to be different person to person. You can't increase the severity of your punishment based on the reaction, but more on what was committed, what crime.
I don't think Greek is responsible for it, but I think the best way for him to deal with it is to let it die. Because the more he's going to bring that up, the more people are going to go after the girl or after whoever, or even after him. So it's always the best way is to let it die down, and people will go to the next. She'll go back to her stream and a quiet stream, and people not going after her.
I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with that either, though. That sounds like a privilege because of the stance you already have as a bigger streamer. You can just do X and stampede over it because you can just out content what happened that day and move forward on and never have to actually acknowledge what happened there.
Trihex, then since you're gonna take that stance, I think it's the best way to put it is, let's say you have Greek who has interacted with certain streamers from some other communities that may be more toxic, and have a lot from that have a lot of clips on live stream fails or whatever that tend to have a decently negative community, and all these people merge into your community or sort of watch your streams. How can you say, your content brings this type of people? I don't think you can blame a stream for that. I think that's just
So what should Greek do? What would you do if you were in Greek's spot? What would you do?
I would reach out. The difference here is I'm actually the one saying that the community leader should be held accountable to some degree of what the community did. So I would feel
that I understand what you're saying. I'm asking you, what would you do in that situation?
What would you do in Greek's situation?
I would apologize. I would if I saw the VOD and everything, and it is how I think it happened, where she actually cried because she got verbally abused. I say verbally, textually abused through chat or whatever, and led to an anxiety-inducing instance. I would actually apologize to her, and then I would get on chat, or I would do a stream, and I would dedicate a segment of that stream the next day to talking about what happened. How I explicitly don't condone it.
That's fucking nuts.
Look, crazy. Community, that's
crazy.
No,
look, I feel like that could be
that's like when Ice Poseidon said that I was his sister when he was trying to bring people down from saying we slept together. Do you know how many people came in and spammed K-Kona incest after?
You're just
adding the difference more.
It just enables, bro.
You showed your intentions, and now you're removing the accountability of you because you did all within your power realistically to deter it from happening again on behalf of your community. That's the difference. You have to ignore it. If you do it a second time, then you ban the motherfuckers and you move on to the next time again, or you move on to the next day. You slowly, day by day, weed out all the trash.
Trihex, listen. Imagine if I did this right with my chat. I'm like, hey guys.
Is that what you do with moderation?
Well, I mean, the thing is just whenever you address it, people are just gonna want to do it more. If I went to my chat and I was like, yo guys, I know yesterday you guys like Like when we get a lot of viewers in here, people just try to say the N-word. But now I want no one to like say the N-word anymore. Like everyone, like that's serious. Like we don't like racism in our community, all that shit. The whole chat is just gonna be the N-word after that. It's literally just gonna be everyone being like, oh shit, this guy said not to do it. Well, then I'm gonna fucking do it 10 times more.
If you just
my counterpoint there would be is that you didn't scale your moderation proportional to your community growing. If you had like done some level of like saying what to do and not do and brought that culture and curated it over time, because you went from like having like probably like 5% moderation to now needing like 80% because of now you're on thin ice, because now it's critical. Now that climate change is real and that we're having crazy weather patterns, now you give a shit even though we should have cared 15 years ago.
So yeah, but I mean, it's how much moderation would you need?
Do you think if
I don't know.
Greek God goes
enough to have girls
apologize.
Do
you think if you go apologize?
Stop saying that! I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna lose it, dude.
You know, girls like tears as a weapon.
Oh my god!
Girls will cry to get their way, try to get sympathy. You can't base your reactions off of whether or not a girl cries. It's really dangerous.
Wow. I think it was authentic. I think it was authentic.
Podcast.
Wow.
Squad W, baby.
I fucking love
I don't think we're doubting if she was authentic here. It's just you can't assume that just because a girl cries that she's crying for genuine reasons.
I mean, my nephew cries all the time when he doesn't get his way or when he loses something. Well, it doesn't mean you're gonna like
it's not the
change the whole system because of it.
If I can hear. So there's all this hesitation about just the idea of being warned. Again, not even an enforcement.
I don't mind the warning, but you have to have a follow-up warning. What happens if you break the warning?
Why warn?
What is a warning? A warning is if you don't do this, this will happen. What is the this will happen that comes out?
Yeah, what is it?
That's what I want to know.
Why are you even scared of that? I've only advocated.
I'm not scared of it. I just want to know what it is because without that,
I don't know. That would be the whole.
It's not a warning. It's not a warning. It's just a.
So
you're asking
for hyper specifics of a situation when we haven't
or
watched
a general. I just say that's pointless.
No, that's a problem. I can't give you.
There's no consequence. What's
if
the
you want to? Okay, well then let's simulate being how Twitch moderation works in the back room. We'd have to go into a complicated simulation of how that operates, and then get to the part where we understand what we do in this very niche situation. With again, like, you know, maybe like the bottom 10% of the top 1% of streamers who have the worst communities.
Are you just saying that the punishment is tailored to each situation?
It's literally just this. It's the more viewers you have, the more toxic your chat will be. It's like direct correlation.
It's not that. You're asking for. I'm focusing on step one, which is be like acknowledging the need to remove negativity, and therefore there should be a warning to bring accountability to someone somewhere at some point, because if there's not, the situation of the girl crying and like being abused could happen again to other people.
God, no, stop.
But I can't even get anyone to agree.
Hey, motherfucker. Hey, give me a minute. I'll give you an example that is so good it's gonna stop all of it. Okay. An interaction happened between somebody that wasn't small or whatever. It was between two big streamers. It was a tournament with Shroud and Forsen, right? And Shroud does Shroud have a toxic community? Does he? No, I'm pretty sure he's very, very positive. And most of the time he's sub mode. So you can't even see it. And if it was toxic, they would get banned, correct? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So his community is mostly very, very positive. And it's a good guy, good vibes, positive, whatever, right? And whenever I think Shroud lost to Forsen, right? Shroud didn't say shit. Shroud even commended Forsen for winning, dude. His chat went and just said such dog shit, garbage, terrible things in Forsen's chat, right? And they just bombarded him, right? But what if he started crying? Then is it like crazy? Oh my god, what the fuck did Forsen? Like you know what I mean? And is Shroud like a bad toxic person with a toxic community? Are you gonna hold him accountable for that? No, you can't. There's no action that can be done from that.
Are you comparing crying due to like game stall to crying versus emotional trauma? Is that what I'm understanding here correctly?
Emotional trauma, bro. Bro, like
man.
every chat is toxic. It's just like the really, really big chats. They just submoded all the time. That's the only difference. So you can't see it.
So can we just recap then? What actually did the girl not cry due to being like belittled and insulted and outed by the remnants of what could be described as Greece community? Is that not what happened here? I'm understood she was brought to tears because of the abuse from chat. Is that not what happened at this point? Is it not fair to call that emotional trauma?
But more than likely, yeah.
But what? That's what.
But
This is why I really wish we had the clip in session.
This is Twitch, bro.
Dude, you did. This argument, you've been falling back. You had the boundary creek, and I don't know.
I am?
Dude, come on now. What is that? It's Twitch, like.
I feel like you guys have lost point of like what like going from if it was really her first stream, like it's like being pushed out into a public speaking on your first try. I feel like am I really the only one here who computes that?
Yeah, but that doesn't people go through situations like that all the time, guys and girls. You don't change a whole system because someone had a bad time their first public speaking and someone threw tomatoes at them because they were in a weird situation, and it's good for her to learn right away that there are
change the system. I'm saying acknowledge that you should make it less negative.
Yeah, but you're saying with the whole warning thing, you're actually suggesting a change in system. Well, but you can't to change toxicity. I don't really. Have you seen Twitch viewers? They're like the lowest of the low.
Okay. They're the lowest of the low, and we shouldn't aspire to change that. We shouldn't aspire to be better than that.
How do you change that? How
he's basically
by wanting to actually change it. You have to acknowledge you want to change it.
Okay, but what is an actual
warning? But you have to agree that accountability held somewhere. Or else it will never change. It'll probably get worse, honestly.
Trihex. This could take years.
But I think Manuel was correct. The more you draw attention to it, the worse you're going to incite it by not giving attention to people who act like little amoebas.
If I took what you're saying right now and applied it to like how do I defeat racism IRL? How do I defeat racism? By never acknowledging and just have status quo.
I mean, there's a big difference.
How is this related?
Come.
That's not this. I don't think that's.
This is something other.
I mean, the way I say that is like the only way you could change it is if people had to be accountable. So like if you had like a way that people's Twitch accounts was tied to like their IPs or something, and they could only have one account, and if they were like proven to be racist in other people's chats or they were proven to be negative, then somehow they would get like banned off like the site. Like it wouldn't be like, oh, you just are banned from a certain chat, you're just banned completely. Like there would have to be some way that people would be accountable. That's like the whole way that you can like change other topics in real life like racism, is because if people are being racist, then they have to go out there, show their face, and be racist in a lot of situations, and you have to like attribute that to them. It's like, oh, well, now you're taking responsibility for your actions.
Exactly. I even have one of my viewers, or like whenever something happens on somebody's channel or whatever, and it's like my community, like dude, he'll bot them. He'll like chat bots with like a bunch of N-words and shit. Dude, it's so hard to like correlate like what you can do about something. It's
I mean the other thing about moderation is like, do you know how shit it is to be like a Twitch moderator? Like how many moderators get paid? You literally just, instead of just being able to like be in the community and just enjoy the content, then you're trying to control a bunch of like animals in the chat that are just trying to be as like shitty as possible.
You know what would be a good
There are 2
solution?
points there I want to get to. So about being a mod and being terrible. Keep in mind here, this is a problem I feel is exclusive to people who have a very large community. So if you're at that large of a community, you probably generate enough revenue to seriously consider having paid mods that will allow your chat culture to be curated to the right direction and not become toxic asshole people. One. Two, back to the point here about how racism and or the example of what is caused by racism to what can be caused by a toxic community, how they're not related at all. Racism, whether you like treat someone different or whatever, can lead to like emotional trauma, which is what I'm trying to relate it to, how you can be treated negatively from the remnants of a community disproportional to what you're used to handling. You know, if you're like a black guy moving to North Dakota and you get called like a coon, whatever all day long. You know, these things can really happen because you're isolated from what you're used to, and you're the only black guy in a very white population.
There are tools on Twitch. Also, you don't need a moderator to put your chat in sub mode only, for example. And then you won't see all those people are not on your like regular on your channel. You can also shut it down without having a mod. You can do it. You don't need to read everything that's said on your chat. Like you can have the right reaction and say, you know what, fuck it, boom, sub mode for the next 10 minutes and done. You can shut it. You know, I feel bad for that girl. I don't agree that people should tell someone to go kill themselves or to be mean or anything like that. I don't think Greek God is responsible for it unless he sent them or himself went on it and talk shit. There's no way he should be punished for it. No way. Like, there's no way. It's impossible. Him going and apologize, fine. That would be a good thing to do. But there's no way he can stop those toxic people. If anything he would say would add to it.
Okay. And so I just want to double reiterate here that you asked what I would do. I would apologize. I'm not necessarily saying that Greek. What I would do and what I'm saying Greek should do are two very different things.
He could. Well, no. Yeah. We're using the same situation. So that's why we ask you.
Like, I'm not even saying he has to actually acknowledge it.
No, I'm not saying he has to. I'm saying he could also. You know.
Yeah.
Did he apologize though? Like,
he did, yes. And just a side note, everyone, this is Berticus. Welcome, Berticus.
What's up?
Hi.
She's an Australian streamer, correct? From Australia?
Yeah, that's correct.
Hello, mate. I'm pretty good Australian accent, yeah? Hello.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you got it.
Hey.
What can't he do?
My views on this is just that if it was mods or something in his community doing it, he should speak to his mods. But like you guys said, he's not really in control of it. So I feel like if he just went out, reached out to the girl and said, sorry, like, it's out of my control, or, you know, and some of his community went in and brought back some positive, like, energy to the community, like, or went in and apologized, well, then I think he's done all he can. He can't control what, like, people from a game do. He didn't send him in there to be mean. So it's not his fault. He can't do anything except apologize.
I think Trihex's point is that overall it can be better and progress towards minimizing that part of our community or viewers, smaller. But I feel like even that wouldn't warrant like a warning or anything, unless you're going against it and they're making it worse or acknowledging it in a way that it will make it worse. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think what could have helped is if Twitch made it a little harder to make 1 million dummy accounts that you can just behave like an animal on without any repercussions, banning an IP, because that is a big problem.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I agree with Amaranth here.
I mean,
for sure.
Thanks.
No, that's.
Where's Amaranth?
No. Everyone, they say they look alike.
I'm memeing, dude.
Yeah, I'm her big sister.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my take on this. Okay, and instead of beating a dead horse with everything I said, I agree with and I stand behind it, and that's why I defended Greek, a couple days ago when I was doing the Reddit recap. But here's the thing, Trihex, like, what you're arguing, it's not wrong, right? But is it realistic?
Sure.
Is it realistic? Is it ideal? Can we implement it and reach the point of zero toxicity? Is it the right thing to do? Yes, but this is my same issue with some of the stuff that Destiny or Hassan sometimes preaches. It's this like very utopian way to look at things. Like, of course it's the right way. Of course we should reach a community of zero toxicity. Of course we should reach a world where everyone's at peace and loving each other. The point is it ideal? Is it realistic? Can we apply it today? I don't think so. And that's why I have this big issue with some of the things that are being preached. Of course people aren't going to disagree with this, but is it realistic? Can we apply this? I don't know how we would.
I'm sorry. This just sounds like a gun debate fallacy right now, where it's like, well, even if we like ban guns tomorrow, there's still going to be like illegal guns sold, and there's going to be like a disproportionate amount of gun violence in the USA. So why bother having any kind of measures meant to like reduce gun crime at all?
It's the same thing about accountability, dude. Like at least if we did something like that, people, if it was harder to get guns, then people like would lose their license to their guns. People would have to sell their guns back. Like there'd be a whole different like process. But with Twitch, it's not like there's no way to bring accountability to the viewers. Yep. So until the viewers actually have to take responsibility for the shit that they say, they're not gonna give a fuck what they say. So that just is what it is.
Do you think that if it was policed better, then people would find a way to manipulate it and get streamers unfairly in trouble by feigning harassment and creating these situations because they don't like a streamer, they want to get them in trouble?
The problem there is when you say a streamer gets in trouble, again, we're getting into a very specific execution of how Twitch moderation works, and that's kind of where we are right now with it. I can't go any further in this debate without like we just backpedal hardcore here and try to like reverse engineer exactly how Twitch moderation works on the back end with the big wigs. to know how they would actually handle this in real time.
Yeah, so it's
both
on them.
with the idea behind why there should be a warning for these kind of things, as well as if there should be at all any consequences past the warning.
I mean,
Like, we
I
have to do the whole thing right
firmly agree. I still firmly believe that you can't have a warning if there's not a consequence to follow. Otherwise, it's not a real warning. It's nothing. It's meaningless.
It's like a little slap on the wrist.
It's not even that, because the slap on the wrist hurts a little bit.
Sure.
Like,
and that's just one brainstorm session away from figuring out what would be the best idea to try first, and then you refine it further on.
What should what
like, would you ban them?
Before we move on from this topic, and because I think we've kind of reached a conclusion for all of us. What are some ways we could, in your opinion, attack this or tackle this issue?
Ooh, well, you're putting me on the hot seat right now. Again, I have to like think about that one further. Honestly, I feel like okay. So nothing happened to Greek, right? Like no one actually, like, he never commented on being reported or anything like that.
No, he just got low priority in GTA. That's all.
Well, let's go back here. Isn't it already currently in the TOS technically that you're held accountable for your community in the first place? Like, I recall Thorson freaking out when this happened because he had to tone his shit down a fuck ton.
So this is essentially what it is. It's that you have to be like showing that you're giving an effort against it. So like, if your chat is spamming the N-word, you have to be like, okay, I'm banning people that are saying it. I'm trying to like diffuse the situation. I'm trying to like hold my community like to what the TOS standard is. But yeah, it's nothing about like, oh, well, if your chat is still being like ridiculous, you get banned. As long as you're like giving effort, and like if you get like donations that are fucked up or like sexist or whatever, you stop them, then you're
That's
good.
how I've understood it.
I got to break it down. Here's actually what happened. So it's not that they would enforce anything on Greek like unprovoked. It's more that the female in question who cried here would have to report Greek, and then that would escalate it further. She has to like quote unquote press charges. Because I think about what could be the most applicable parallel example here would be whenever Doc said the CD emote, I don't like it. I don't like being slandered, having my image belittled beyond my control. So get rid of the CD emotes now. And then Forreston and I believe Soda both had to get rid of their documentation emotes because he pressed charges by openly saying or actually reporting on them using his likeness without his permission. And that would be, I feel like the equivalent here would be if the girl actually reported Greek appropriately, which she wouldn't do because she doesn't have like the self-esteem or like the streamer clout to actually follow through that kind of action. It's
or maybe she doesn't blame him,
and then there would be actual enforcement.
Or maybe she doesn't blame him.
Yeah.
She probably has no idea what happened. Like, if it's her first stream, she's probably like, what is it? Like, she probably had no idea.
Yeah, it's her first stream. Quote unquote emotional trauma. I feel like you're not really going to know what to do at that point. You just know that you're.
And it's still a gray area because that's still something people could use as a weapon. And it's dangerous to put too much power behind that. Like, it should be investigated, I guess. But you can't just be like, oh, well, she cried, so therefore we're going to come after you because how dare you make this poor, delicate flower cry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a great parallel here would be like if you get like sexually harassed from the boss that just hired you on your first day of your job. Like, who are you going to report to? You don't know anybody. Like, you don't feel any strong sense of confidentiality with anyone there. the police.
Yeah,
sexual harassment that's a sexual harassment lawsuit. That's a lawsuit. That's a big deal.
Ooh,
that's really big. That's I think a completely different situation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was trying to get into like the general, I guess, analogy that could be applied across this one, but I mean, the thing about that too is that it'd have to be like you don't have any tangible proof on your first day. I imagine you're not sitting there like ready with your phone on record, waiting for the ass slap to come or whatever. So.
Every streamer is accountable and responsible for whatever the community says in other streams. Okay. And yes, and TrainWrecks believes that we should strive to reach for a community where there is zero negativity, and to reach that, we need to hold streamers accountable for the community. And everyone else was saying that no, we should not hold them accountable or responsible because you can't control everybody. So that's where the meme comes from.
It's a middle ground. I mean, like, if everybody in your community is a fucking dick, then yeah, probably it's your issue. But if you've got a couple of dipshits out of 100,000, 10,000 people that are watching regularly, then yeah, that's not really your fault.
True.
There you go. True. That was actually quick. Wow.
Okay.
That's what it.
Yeah, that's what we all said.
That's what
all right.
everyone said.
That's for both. Yeah.
Wait,
Anyways,
are we gonna bring up the severity of what happened? Because I feel like that was kind of
Bring
what
it up,
Asmon, here we go. You ready?
Did I just open Pandora's box for apparently like the third time?
Yes.
Are you guys ready?
Opening it again.
You left out
All
so
right,
much
I don't-
context.
look,
She
yeah.
cried. She cried, dude.
So
she
what?
cried.
That's what I said. So what?
That's what I said.
She cried, though.
That's her problem.
Yeah.
The severity.
Okay, whoa. Would I have to go all the way on the opposite side, or we can sit in the middle and say,
Okay, so basically there was some RP going and the bigger streamer's channel went into this smaller chick's channel and said, go kill yourself or some mean thing. And she, I guess, cried. And so they're saying that he should be punished for that.
It was
even
not
though
go kill yourself. It wasn't go kill yourself. It was leave
I
the
thought that's
server.
what you guys
No.
said.
There are some
No,
screenshots.
no.
There are some screenshots. Yeah, someone sent me screenshots.
They were mean to her
About the
and she
chat where-
cried.
What is the other streamer?
So they're saying they
dad?
they should punish the streamer. And I'm saying I don't think you should punish the streamer unless he said, go tell her.
Well, I mean, like, I think there's some common sense here, right? I mean, like, you can say, yeah, don't do that, right? I mean, but you can't stop everyone. You have, like, let's say 10,000 people. You're going to have one idiot. I mean, really, there's going to be one idiot. And usually in most streams, there's, like, 9,000 idiots, right?
Yep,
Out of the 10,000. So it's like, if one of them is going to go in there and talk shit, I don't think that's really his fault, right? I mean, come on.
Also, really feel here. I wish we were watching the clip because if you're like, you're downplaying, like
the severity of her crying.
Well, no, I mean, like, no, man. Because like
that's a laughing manner. That's a joke.
No, it's not a joke at all. Not a joke at all.
You were mocking my take on it earlier. That's what all y'all felt like.
Was I mocking?
That's putting words in our mouth. We never said that as a joke. We just said that you shouldn't punish somebody based on the reaction of the victim. You punish them on the severity of the crime committed. People react differently emotionally to different situations. Just because they cry harder, you can't reward the person who cries the hardest. That's encouraging a whole generation of crybaby. Oh wait, that's where we are.
Oh,
Squad W. Hey, Scarlet,
Thank you.
Scarlet, you are on point. Scarlet, you are on point. Holy shit, you are on point. Squad W, baby. Squad W.
You fucking incel chieftain over here, dude. Fuck, man.
how is she?
I mean, no one's saying she's wrong. So
I'm not even so, obviously. I don't think that. I just don't like rewarding crying because you train people.
I feel like
cry.
if it's a first stream though, that would have been very off-putting, and I could understand if it's your very first stream and that's what you got. Of course, you're gonna cry. That's so intimidating.
Have done with it. I've dealt with this.
Yeah, I think
everybody can agree. It's not like it's good that she cried. But
let me ask this: would you? So you're telling me that you would tell the girl after she cried, you would join her Discord call and tell her, "Suck it up, get the fuck over it."
This is what I would do.
Well, no.
Okay,
This is what I would fucking do. Is I would ban the people that told her to kill herself and move on.
Right.
Like, that sounds like you're taking accountability and doing something to prevent more bad shit. I've been saying the whole fucking time.
No. The girl should ban them.
Way to rise up to the occasion. Great.
I mean, Twitch
he already did that though.
No, Twitch should do that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah, and Twitch should not allow people to make multiple accounts so that they can harass people.
Look, that's a separate issue. But like, I mean, the thing is, Twitch should ban the people that are telling other people to kill themselves. Like, wow, what a
lot to monitor.
Also, nothing wrong telling people tough it up. I mean,
I would pull her to my Discord and say, "Look, honey, this is Twitch. They're assholes. You need to just ignore it."
I don't
ban them. Put in sub mode.
I think that this is like such an issue, right? I'm going to go ahead and get into this. Is that I think that it's a legitimate issue because whenever people say, "Oh, well, because people are bad on the internet, you just should expect this," I think that indirectly makes people feel like they're okay whenever they act that way because it's supposed to be expected. I think that's bullshit. If anybody is talking shit at all, they should be treated like the piece of shit they are, right? Especially if they're going into somebody's stream unprovoked, trying to ruin their day. Yeah, they're pieces of shit. But that's not the other streamer's fault unless he's telling them to do it.
We agree.
Yep.
We all agree with that. That's why we all said earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, in another way, like maybe Greek God could talk to her take her aside. Hey, listen, if this is new for you, maybe I can help you understand the way it works. You can't,
there's two different things here. Is that what could somebody do and what should they do, right? It's completely. Like at a certain point, like what is his legitimate, like what is his baseline responsibility? I think his responsibility, like what should he do for it not to be his fault, is don't tell people to go do that. Yep. Now, beyond that, everything else is on Twitch. If he wants to ban those people in his chat, I'd say that's kind of a gray area. Is it really Greek's responsibility to administer Twitch's TOS? That seems like it's a very slippery slope. But let's just go ahead and say, yeah, obviously, Trihex, you're right. Like, if he did more and he went above and beyond, yeah, I think that'd be absolutely commendable. But I don't think that's required. And I also
but that he has to, yeah, exactly.
It should be his prerogative.
Not to do that.
If it becomes a necessity, then suddenly it takes all the value of an apology and of a conversation. Because
we are now totally moving the goalposts because I never said he had to apologize. You asked, what would I do? Not you asked me, but what would I do if it was me in the situation? I have been advocating for that Twitch should have warned him or have some kind of warning protocol to let him know this happened on behalf of his community to some extent, because you can easily track how many of the viewers came from his stream, led to her stream afterward, even if it was involuntarily.
Did he shout her?
But I couldn't get y'all to even agree that we want to remove negativity from Twitch. That's the difference
thing
here.
Is that
y'all were freaking out about a warning. Warning with no consequence.
Also, just to clear, real quick, hey,
no consequence. It doesn't to a community of people who are like they're willing to go after. Like they went after the girl, for example. Okay, he has no control over it. If you give those people a warning, it's like basically making them want to do it more. They're trolls, dude.
Like
and just to clarify, these people were banned in Greek's chat.
You're giving them attention for the actions they're doing.
Yes, these people were banned in Greek's chat. They were perma-banned in Greek's chat already. So
here's the thing, right? Is like let's talk
Trolls
about
gonna troll. Can't reform them or anything.
Well,
no point in moderating. Why even have moderation?
You moderate.
Well, no.
Why even mod at all? Just let them fling poo everywhere.
Another thing, xQc brought this up actually. People would literally sit in Greek's chat looking, waiting, or was this train? Waiting for something to happen, waiting for something bad to happen. They may be banned already, they may not even be following, but they want to see something bad happen, or they want to cause something bad to happen. Just because someone's from the stream doesn't mean they like the streamer.
Well, yeah, because we had that shit happen with Tfue like a couple of months ago where he hosted somebody and that like something happened where the people were like spamming bad shit that were already banned in his channel. Like you can't be responsible for the people that are watching your channel. But I think the question here, Trihex, is like what happens, like how many warnings does Greek get? And then what happens if Greek gets 10 warnings?
That's what I asked.
This is where we had to fall apart because you're asking for hyper specifics when we haven't even watched the clip, so I can dictate or understand specifically how severe it actually was. I only know that she cried as a consequence or as a reaction to the severity of the whole thing. So I would want to watch the clip in actual detail so we know the complete comprehensive context, one, and then we'd have to like reverse engineer how Twitch's backend with moderation works to then get into the idea of debating what should be the proper solution. I've only been advocating for that you should have the priority to remove negativity from Twitch so that things don't continue to get worse. Because if we don't do anything and hold anyone accountable when these kind of things happen, it's going to happen more frequently, I would imagine.
Man, I get you there. I just don't think that you should put that on the streamers. I mean, like,
that's a lot. That's hard.
Because if they were to ban Greek for that, like they were saying before, there's people that would just hate Greek that will go in, pretend to be a follower of Greek,
and that's a problem. We're removing it again.
And that will happen to so many. But it's not the victim's fault. But if they try to ban Greek for what these people are doing, people are going to do it to just get Greek banned.
They're going to encourage it.
They want to see it to the streamer.
The problem is that this is a noble cause, but the direction and the actions you have to take in order to fulfill that cause can be unfair. So if you want to make things more positive, at some point there has to be a punishment for not being positive, for being toxic. Now, who does that punishment fall on? My argument is I think the punishment should fall on the people that are being toxic.
Yes.
Hold them accountable because they're the ones doing it.
So in a utopian society, certainly, if you have like the manpower to like go in there and review the VOD and have like, I don't know, Twitch Illuminati cops just go in there and bop the 50 people who were being particularly toxic, I guess. But realistically, that doesn't happen. So you try to do what you can to execute otherwise.
In a utopian society,
sounds like cops who say either martial law or completely wild west right now.
You give a warning to the people, and they say, "You know what? You're right. I was bad. I'll never do it again." It doesn't work like that. Like they live through being trolls. This is their life. They are miserable, and they hate that you're happy in your life, and they want to try to make you miserable too. This is how they work.
So we don't believe in reform at all. There is no way to reform any component of this entire situation.
These type of
people who did this that night that caused that girl to cry can never be reformed ever again.
Honestly, I mean, unless you're suggesting we send them all to therapy.
You're gonna ban them 2 minutes later, they have a new account and another one and another one. They don't care.
If you want my real opinion, I genuinely think that half of the people that probably go in there and talk shit will never be reformed. They are pieces of shit kids.
Exactly.
They're gonna grow up to be pieces of shit adults. They're gonna have piece of shit kids.
So because of your own conclusion, we should never try anything.
No, I never said that. I never said that.
No, it's like I think it's an immaturity thing. These people would not say this to her face. It's because they're behind a computer screen and they can say it, and they're getting a reaction. She gave a reaction that they like.
Reform the twerps. We're here to do our job, and if a person's a twerp, you ban them and move on with your life.
But I think the only way that we could actually cause change, it's like Dom said, is bringing accountability to people.
We already talked so much about this. Can we just talk about something?
Yeah, we're kind of going.
I'm sorry.
I'm almost done.
Now you're to know, Asmon. You know most of the whole thing.
My fault. I think they were probably on the same page, honestly.
No, but we all agreed in a perfect world. You're right.
Yeah. They do need to do something, Trihex. I agree with you.
We all agree with you on that. But it's not as easy as you think it is.
I would say this is only worth revisiting in this podcast with this group of people when we have the clip. Like I would straight up let's watch 3 minutes of the clip and then we can talk about it again. And I would love to see if all of your opinions, or not all of you, but if your take on it would change. Is all.
Yeah. Well, I still
beyond that, I want to
go
any further with
what the end punishment.
Someone sent that to me, so.
Because that's where I'm confused. Now, how do you punish a streamer for it? How do you hold him accountable? You can't just throw that into the world and then not follow through with that, because it's kind of opening a really big door.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it, right? I mean.
And that could be manipulated against streamers. I think it's a very scary thing. I think that streamers should try their best to control their chats, but at some point, if you're a small streamer and people are coming in and being jerks, you just gotta ban them or turn your chat to follower only and just realize you're on the internet and there's risks and you have to be prepared to deal with the risks.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Like what happened to her? That sucks.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's move on. I think I gotta get going. I'm over time.
My bad.
I think we keep revisiting this. I actually have another emote. First of all, you're more than an emote to me, Trihex. I love you to death. But I actually have another global emote. I have another.
You have another global emote.
I have another global emote, dude.
In the call.
Yes.
Okay. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hey.
No, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure.